Yo guys, welcome back. Moving on with the series, today we're going to be talking about hunters in pre-patch TBC. Now, normally, hunters in Classic WoW are kind of, poo-poo pee-pee. They don't really do that much good damage. But now with TBC pre-patch and with our pets scaling, are they going to be good? Are they going to be top tier? How much damage can they do exactly? We're going to break down some of the PvE and PvP specs for level 60 pre-patch TBC, and I suspect that they're going to be pretty good, guys. All right, let's get into the video. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so starting off with PvE, we're going to start off with a spec that I'm sure all of you guys expected to see, and that is the Beast Mastery build. Now, the reason Beast Mastery is so good is, one, the Beast Mastery tree got way stronger compared to the classic WoW Beast Mastery tree. But number two, and something we covered in yesterday's video when we covered Warlock, which if you missed that video, I'll leave a link to it right up here. But if you missed that video, in patch 2.0 in the pre-patch, this is when we start to see scaling for our pets. And in Classic WoW, as all of you hunters probably know, we don't have any scaling for our pets, unfortunately. But in patch 2.0, our pets gain a portion of our attack power, our intellect, our stamina, our resistances, and our spell power. So the main one that's important here, of course, is going to be that it gains a portion of our attack power. Now, let's actually look at what changed in this TBC talent tree. And starting off with the first row of talents, improved aspect of the hawk is the same, but endurance training did change a little bit. In Classic WoW, this only gave pets health and not us, and now we gain percent health increase as well. This isn't quite a damage increase, but it is nice to have a little bit of extra health. And that is going to be important to note for later when we're covering the PvP specs. Next, we're going to look at Focused Fire, and yes, this is a buff to our Kill Command, but we won't quite have Kill Command since that is a TBC talent that we learn later on beyond level 60. But still, we do gain a 2% damage increase, which is going to be better than pretty much any other talent in this point for just pure raiding PvE. Next, we go down the tree, Unleashed Fury. This is basically the exact same. Ferocity, once again, pretty much the exact same. Here's when things really start to change. We gain Bestial Discipline. This increases the focus generation of our pets, and the focus, of course, is what allows our pets to use all of their different abilities. So increasing the focus generation of your pets means they get to use their abilities more often, which means they're going to do more damage. Also, we have Spirit Bond, and once again, this isn't something that necessarily gives us damage, but while your pet is active, you regenerate 2% of your total health every 10 seconds, you and your pet. So yes, this doesn't necessarily give us damage, but it is a little bit of self-healing, which is always welcome to have in any sort of PvE scenario. Going down to things that did change and do increase our DPS, one of those being Animal Handler. Increases the speed while mounted by 8%. Not good for damage, doesn't really do anything. But it also increases your pet's chance to hit by 4%. And of course, if pets are doing a large portion of our damage with this build, obviously we do want them to hit the target. Moving on down, we have Bestial Wrath, which is one hell of a talent, as you guys already know. And we also get Ferocious Inspiration. When your pets score a critical hit, everyone in your party has their damage increased by 3% for 10 seconds. So not only is this a DPS increase for you, but now everyone in your party is also going to get a damage bonus from you, which is really great, because as we've seen in Classic WoW already, hunters are mostly utilized for their True Shot aura because they want to buff their group. But now we can buff our group and actually do some pretty serious damage as well. So this is a wonderful talent to have. Moving on down, we have Serpent Swiftness. Increases your ranged attack speed by 20% and your pet's melee attack speed by 20%. So not only is this a damage increase for your pet, but it is also a damage increase for you. And you might be thinking, Alive, with Serpent Swiftness giving us ranged attack speed, And whenever improved aspect of the hawk procs, we also get more attack speed. What about aim shot? And that is one of the big differences of this build. You no longer have to play around Chromagus bow and KT bow. You don't have to have really slow bows and play around aim shot. Now you can just go with the highest DPS bow regardless of its speed. So fast bows are no longer a big deal. Lastly, we have the Beast Within. When your pet is under the effects of Bestial Wrath, which is the talent right above that we did have in Classic WoW, you also go into a rage, causing 10% increased damage and reducing the mana cost of all of your spells by 20%. And of course, while you're enraged, you don't feel pity or remorse, so you can't be feared or stopped unless you're killed while under the effects of Bestial Wrath. So this is really good because yes, our pets are doing most of our damage, but it's still really nice to have that 10% damage increase, because while you're popping rapid fire or any of your other trinkets, having that 10% damage bonus is just going to be icing on the cake. So this is a really good talent. Now you may notice that we are level 56 right here, putting 5 points into lethal shots. And I won't lie, I'm not a hunter main, as you guys all know, so these last few points, the last 4 points, are kind of variable. You could say you want to go improved hunter's mark, but really you only need one hunter in your raid to go improved hunter's mark. So if you are the hunter in your raid going for improved hunter's mark, then yes, you would want to put points into this talent. But if you're not the person in your raid to go for improved hunter's mark, then what do you go for? You could go for increased range, which obviously is very useful. Doesn't necessarily give us DPS increase inherently, but it is always nice to have range increase. That way you can outrange certain mechanics. But things like humanoid slaying and monster slaying don't really give us that much benefit in Naxxramas, since most of the mobs we're fighting are undead, other than the exception of a few mobs here and there, like Faralina is a humanoid and things like that. So we could go for ranged, we could go for humanoid slaying, we could go for monster slaying. I think that they're all decent options, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys how you want to spend those last 4 points. Next, we're going to be looking at a marksman build, and I do want to point out that I do think that the Beast Mastery build is probably going to be the best spec for Hunter and just their single target damage alone. But if Beast Mastery is not for you, and I know people are going to ask about Marksman Hunter regardless, because Marksman Hunter honestly did get a lot of buffs as well. So we are going to break down a Marksman Hunter build if you just so happen to not want to play Beast Mastery spec. So all of these talents here are pretty much the exact same. The ones that are starting to really change are go for the throat, your critical hits, give your pets more focus, and yes, we aren't Beast Mastery build, but still giving our pets more focus is always going to give us a little bit more DPS increase compared to just not having it. Rapid killing is something that doesn't really give you a whole bunch of damage, but it does reduce the cooldown of rapid fire by 2 minutes, so this is a little bit of a buff, and we do want to move further down into the tree and need 2 extra points to do so. So you could either go 2 out of 2 rapid killing to reduce the cooldown of your rapid fire ability, or if you really want to, you could go into efficiency, but I suspect that rapid killing is going to be the better play. And then of course we have mortal shots. This is the exact same as back in Classic. We have barrage, exact same as back in Classic, and then we start to have some new things again. We have combat experience, a wonderful talent, increases your total agility by 2% and your intellect by 6%. This agility is of course giving you ranged attack power and is giving you slightly more crit, but remember, it's also buffing your pet, and even though we're not Beastmaster, it's still good to buff your pet because your pet's still going to do quite a bit of damage. Now, you might be wondering, why the intellect, right? I mean, yes, it's better to have a bigger mana pool compared to a smaller mana pool, but it doesn't really do that much for you. Or does it? Let's look at the talent right below. Careful aim. This is actually really nice to have. Increases your ranged attack power by an amount equal to 45% of your intellect. So now you're gaining intellect here, and all of your tier 3 pieces have intellect, and this will also scale off of arcane intellect. It will also scale off of intellect that you gain through Blessing of Kings. When you get your ZG buff and get percent stats increase, you are also gaining more intellect. Songflower buff also gives you raw stats that will also give you intellect. So all of these supplementary buffs and small bits of intellect on your pieces of gear that you want to wear already are now going to increase your ranged attack power even more, which is really, really nice to have. It's not going to completely break the game, but it is a significant damage increase and feels really, really good. It's nice to see that intellect is now not just something that increases your mana pool, but is actually giving the hunter more damage. And then we have True Shot Aura, which is essentially the same as it was before, but now we have Improved Barrage. Increases the critical strike chance of your multi-shot by an additional 8% and gives you a 66% chance to avoid interruption caused by damage while channeling volley. Now, we don't really use volley that much as a hunter. It's not that great of an ability, but we always still want to use multi-shot anyway, so if we're increasing the critical strike chance of our multi-shot, it's never going to be a bad thing. And yes, you could put 3 points into this and increase your crit chance to 12%, giving you another 4% crit chance on your multi-shot, but I'm not sure if that's going to be better than having a flat 1% damage increase. So all of you hunter mains out there, I'm sure you guys know already which one is going to be better, but I suspect that if we were to go 1 out of 2 into focused fire for just flat damage increase, or we were going to get 4% more crit on an ability that has a cooldown, multi-shot, I'm sure that you guys know the answer to this, but as a non-hunter main, I suspect that just the flat damage, the non-conditional damage, is going to be the play. Moving into the bottom bits of the Marksman tree, we have Master Marksman. Increases your ranged attack power by 10%. Obviously, this is extremely good. You're going to have tons of ranged attack power already with all the different agility gear that you have, and now that we're gaining more ranged attack power with careful aim, this talent is just great. And lastly in the tree, we have Silencing Shot, and this is a shot that just silences the target, just like they say. And that might not actually seem that good in a PvE scenario because a lot of bosses, you can't silence them. Well, the important thing about this ability is that it does physical damage. So it's a shot that does 50% weapon damage and it scales off physical damage. So normally your hunter rotation at level 60 is just aim shot, multi-shot. So now this gives you another ability to use when aim shot and multi-shot are on cooldown. Not only that, but it scales off physical damage, which is the best type of damage that we can do since we're constantly using Sunder Armor, Expose Armor, Annihilator, and all these other things to reduce the boss's armor as close to 0 as possible. Now, the kind of optional talents, the iffy talents that I wasn't quite sure about, is this Beastmaster splash at the end. We're going into improved aspect of the Hawk, and unlike the Beastmaster build, we actually want a slow weapon because we are playing around aim shot. So we want a slow weapon. So gaining the attack speed from aspect of the Hawk, sure, it's good when we're in between our aim shots, but it's not that great when our aim shot is coming off cooldown because, once again, we want to be casting aim shot and not clipping our auto attacks. So while aspect of the Hawk is a slight DPS increase, it's not absolutely amazing or groundbreaking or anything like that. But if we look at the other tree, Survival, if we could only pick out of the first tier and the second tier, we don't really gain that much from Survival. So just like the Beastmaster build, we have the same issue. Yes, increased ranged on your weapons is good, and this might be absolutely necessary to dodge certain abilities. But humanoid slaying and monster slaying doesn't do a whole lot for us, specifically in Naxxramas. If we were in a raid like Blackwing Lair, then I would say monster slaying is great because most of the things you're killing are dragonkin, so you really, really want this ability. But in Naxxramas in specific, it doesn't really do a whole lot. So the only reason I would even want to go into this tree would mostly be because of Hawkeye. So it could be that Hawkeye is so important that you want to go 3 points into Hawkeye and do something more along the lines of this. For the last PvE build, we're going to have the support spec. And a lot of hunters don't like playing this spec because, generally speaking, it doesn't do as much single target DPS as the other two specs, but still having one survival hunter is really, really important for your raid, and we'll explain why in a second as we break down the tree. So, like I said before, the beginning few talents, none of these are really that great other than Hawkeye, because once again, having ranged or increased ranged on your attacks is always going to be a good thing. It's never going to be a bad thing. These other few talents, though, don't really do too much. We don't start really gaining more DPS out of our talents until we get down to sure-footed, which this is already something we have in Classic WoW. It increases our hit chance by 3%, which means we can drop hit chance in other places, which generally speaking is always going to be a DPS increase. Now we get into the stuff that really starts changing in this build, and one of those being survival instincts. Not only does this reduce all damage you take, nature, shadow, arcane, physical damage, everything, but it also increases your attack power by 4%. So all in all, a really, really nice talent. It's minor, but it's still really, really nice all around. And then we have Killer Instinct, increases the critical strike chance with all of your attacks by 3%. So obviously, this is very good as well. Once again, it's minor. It's only 3%. It's nothing crazy. It's not 10%. It's not anything crazy like that, but it's still good. It's still good to have. Now, let's talk about precisely why you want to bring just one survival hunter to your raid. And that is because of the ability that Lightning Reflexes moves into. Expose Weakness. Kind of sounds like a rogue ability, don't you think? Your ranged critical strikes have a 100% chance to apply Expose Weakness effect to the target. What does Expose Weakness do? Expose Weakness increases the attack power of all attackers against that target by 25% of your total agility. So if we look up here, Lightning Reflexes is already giving us 15% bonus agility on however much agility we have. So using Mongoose Elixir, stacking agility with all of your tier 3 gear, some of those rings out there have super, super high flat agility as well. And yes, you hunters, you know what rings I'm talking about. So stacking a huge amount of agility is going to make your exposed weakness just phenomenal. It's not going to necessarily make you, as the survival hunter, do insane damage, but the amount of damage that you're contributing towards your raid is just astronomical. This makes pets do more damage, this makes warriors do more damage, this makes other hunters' pets do more damage, this makes enhancement shamans, if you guys want to roll with an enhancement shaman, which, by the way, you guys, I don't think enhancement's actually going to be that bad. Remember, with TBC talents in pre-patch, enhancements get dual wield. So if you're interested in content like this, and so far you've liked the video, remember to drop a like, drop a subscribe if you want to keep up to date when I release all of these videos for pre-patch, because we are going to be covering every single class and talent build for PvE and PvP. So keep moving on with this. Exposed Weakness is really, really good. Then we have Thrill of the Hunt, gives you a 66% chance to return 40% of the mana cost of any shot when it critically hits, and this build is going to have quite a bit of critical hits since you're stacking agility, since you have critical strike chance from Killer Instinct, and you're going to gain critical strike chance from the next talent point that we talk about. So this isn't necessarily just a flat out damage increase, but gaining mana back allows you to play a little bit more aggressively with your shots. Now, the next ability that I was referencing that does increase your critical strike chance is Master Tactician. Your successful ranged attacks have a 6% chance to increase your critical strike chance with all of your attacks by 10% for 8 seconds. So once again, this incentivizes us to play with a faster weapon. And unlike the Marksman build where we're used to playing with slow crossbows, that's why our ranged That's why our ranged weapon choice has been so limited in Classic WoW. We have to play around aim shot. But with this build in specific, it doesn't really matter if you have a slow bow or anything like that. It's okay if you have a fast bow, and actually, if you have a fast weapon, it's actually pretty good. There is some benefit because you have this Master Tactician ability. You want to attack as much as possible because then it increases the uptime of Master Tactician. But you don't want to sacrifice that much weapon DPS. You don't want to just go for a fast bow that has super low weapon DPS just to get this ability. You want a good mix. Speaking of attack speed, there is something I do want to mention, and that is the last ability here. When activated, this ability immediately finishes the cooldowns of all your other hunter abilities. And you might be thinking, Alive, how does this give us attack speed? But all of you hunter mains out there, you already know. This means that we can use rapid fire twice per boss fight, which is absolutely great. You're going to have that attack speed buff, which is already huge, twice, which is really good. So that means our uptime on Master Tactician is going to be better. Our uptime on Exposed Weakness is going to be better. We're going to just get more white hits in general, which is always going to be a DPS increase. And we have an increased chance to proc Improved Aspect of the Hawk, which gives us even more attack speed on top of that. Now, lastly, we also have lethal shots giving us 5% crit, and obviously I don't have to explain to you guys, critical strike rating is very good in this build because we're always trying to play around Expose Weakness. So ideally with this build, you're getting a ton of crits and you're just rapid firing, bang, getting crit after crit after crit, and you might not be topping the meters, but you are still extremely useful to your raid. Alright, so moving on to the PvP builds, we're going to talk about a PvP build that gives you a lot of crowd control and a lot of survivability. So with this PvP build, we gain Scattershot to put someone into a trap, as we have all seen from CDL tournaments, from duels in the open world, and I'm sure even all of you non-hunter players, you know about this. You get scattered, they feint death, they put a trap under you, and then they aim shot you right in the face. So we gain Scattershot, which is a super important ability, but not only do we gain Scattershot, we have improved Concussive Shot for hard CC. We have Survival Instincts to reduce all damage taken by 4%, and of course increasing our attack damage. We have Survivalist for another 10% health increase. We have Deterrence for 25% chance to dodge and parry for 10 seconds. We have improved Entrapment, which, as we all know, is a super annoying ability. Comment down below. How many times have you guys played Warsong Gulch or been dueling a hunt or even watched the CDL tournaments and you just saw Entrapment proc time after time, even off one trap? I've seen this talent, even with 1 point put into it, just 1 point. I've seen this trap proc multiple times, time after time after time, and it is so triggering to get multiple procs and just sitting there in a hunter's trap, just getting railed arrow after arrow after arrow, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we gain Entrapment, we gain the increased ranged on our abilities, improved wing clip for more immobilization, and sure-footed, not only for the hit rating so we don't have to go for hit rating gear so much, but of course increases the chance movement and parrying abilities, like your traps, will be resisted by 10%. Now, two other abilities that we have, yes, I'm talking about the Beast Mastery tree, and I'm sure you guys know what these do from Classic WoW already, but there were small changes in the TBC client. So, endurance training, like I said before, not only does it increase the health of your pets like it did in Classic, but now it is also giving us another 5% total health. So between endurance training and survivalist, we have 15% increased health. Now, I know all of you guys have seen hunters running around BGs. They are already tanky boys. They have a ton of health. So now we have survivalist, and endurance training is giving us extra health on top of survivalist. And it doesn't even stop there, you guys. It doesn't even stop there. Thick hide also buffs you in addition to your pet. So in Classic WoW, Thick Hide only increased the armor rating of your pet. But now it increases the armor rating of you as well by a whopping 10%. And as a hunter, you're already wearing mail gear, the second highest and heaviest armor in the game. So not only are you wearing gear that already has a lot of armor on it, but you're getting another 10% on top of that, and then you have increased health here, increased health here. You have 25% dodge and parry, and you have sure-footed, and you have entrapment, and you have Hawkeye, and you have immobilization here, and you have immobilization. It's just going to be so hard to kill a hunter one-on-one. I don't know about you guys, but if I was playing a melee class in TBC pre-patch, I would be running away from a hunter because, boy, these guys are going to be annoying to kill. There was one more PvP spec that I am going to mention, and it is another deep survival build. And this one isn't going for Scattershot. Instead of Scattershot, it's going for Wyvern Sting, which is another way for the hunter to reset the fight, because like Scattershot, it disorients the target. Instead of just making them walk around here and there, it puts them to sleep completely. So just like Scattershot, this gives the hunter the ability to reset the fight at almost any time that they want. And not only do they gain Wyvern Sting, but they gain a little bit extra damage with Exposed Weakness, they gain a little bit extra damage with Lightning Reflexes, and a little bit extra dodge through the agility and Lightning Reflexes. They gain Master Tactician for a little bit more offensive power, but another important thing is they gain Readiness. And once again, if you're a melee player, imagine trying to fight a hunter that has Deterrence, and also can just reset the cooldown of Deterrence along with their traps. So this resets the cooldown of Deterrence and also their traps. So even with this spec, which I suspect that this spec is going to be slightly worse than the spec we talked about previously with Scattershot. I think that this spec is going to be slightly worse, but this spec is still going to be so annoying when trying to fight a hunter in a one-on-one scenario, most specifically. Now, you could say, Alive, what about a PvP spec with Beastmaster? I want to be Beastmaster. I want to have Beast Wrath. I don't think that being Beastmaster is necessarily a bad thing, but Beastmaster is kind of going Zug mode. You know what I mean? If you're looking at the survival tree and you're looking at the Marksman tree, there's just so much utility through Scattershot, through the health from Survivalist, the damage mitigation from Survival Instincts. All these different abilities in these two trees give us so much survivability that I think it's kind of hard to pass it up. But if you're one of those guys that really wants to go into BGs and you're just solo queuing and you're there to just kick ass, then I would say that Beastmaster isn't a bad option. But when it comes down to really competitive PvP, I suspect that going for the hybrid build that we talked about first, or this survival build, is going to be a little bit better than just zug-zugging with Beastmaster. Alright guys, that is it for the Hunter video. And speaking of that, what do you guys want me to cover next? Now, I need you boys to do a job here. I need you to comment down below which class you want to see me cover next. And I will be pumping out this video tomorrow. So be fast, boys. You gotta be fast. Comment down below and let me know which class you guys want to see for tomorrow's video. And speaking of tomorrow's video, as you guys may have noticed, I am pumping out this TBC content. Not only are we going to be covering all of the different classes for pre-patch TBC, but moving into TBC, we're also going to be covering gold guides, investment guides, what you should be doing in Classic WoW right now to get ready for TBC, big ticket items in Phase 1 for TBC, raid compositions in TBC, progress speedruns, all of the above, guys, all of the above. So if you could, just do me one little favor, show me a little bit of love, take your little finger right here and press the like button one time. And maybe if you're really feeling up for it and you want to show me some love, press the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it, you guys. I'm not just trying to say this because, of course, obviously I'm a YouTuber, but I am really trying to grow my channel and I'm really trying to pump out these videos for you guys because just like you guys, I am super hyped for TBC content. I'm really excited to get to Outlands and get blasting. Anyways, guys, that's it for Hunter. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.